And when you call my name, I won't be far away. No matter where you go, you'll never be alone. Be alone, be alone. No, you'll never be alone, be alone.
Ponytails. Read by Scribbler.
Applejack wiped her brow and gazed over sweet apple acres. The apples were ripening beautifully, and in a few days she and Big Macintosh would be busy apple bucking again. In the meantime, however, they had their new barn to finish. Inside, Apple Bloom and Granny Smith were installing the pins. Outside, Applejack and Big Macintosh were giving the new barn a fresh coat of paint, as red as her brother's coat. Applejack was about to pick up her paintbrush again when she spotted some pony approaching the barn.
Big Macintosh! We have a visitor! You get started and I'll deal with him.
Sure thing, sis.
The farm pony adjusted her hat and trotted up to meet the visitor, a fairly nondescript earth pony stallion with a brown coat and a two-tone orange mane.
Good day to you, Miss Applejack. I'm Kenai from Town Hall, here to conduct your annual building inspection.
He offered Applejack the official paperwork. Applejack gave the documents a quick once-over.
I'll be happy to escort you around.
The apples prided themselves on the quality of everything they did, and kept their buildings in tip-top shape. The inspector found no problem with the farmhouse, the old barn, the silo, or the two sheds.
There's one more building we need to inspect.
Kenai said,
This says here you've built a new bar. Where's that building?
A bar? Well, that's preposterous. Y'all must be the new barn.
That would make a lot more sense.
Kenai agreed. He double-checked his paperwork.
But this does say I'm here to inspect a bar.
Well, I don't know what to tell you, partner. Y'all ain't gonna find a bar on Sweet Apple Acres.
I'll go ahead and delay my inspection for a month. That'll give you time to visit Town Hall and get the problem corrected.
Thank you. What do you mean? There's nothing y'all can do?
Applejack stared down the silver earth pony behind the desk. His short blue mane was perfectly arranged on his head, unruffled by the slightest bit of hard work. The twist of red ribbon on his flank perfectly matched the name etched on the nameplate on his desk. Red tape.
I said, I can't simply ignore the clearly written words on the permit the town council approved.
The stallion explained evenly.
My forelegs are hobbled.
It's a typo! A typo!
Applejack exclaimed.
I'm sorry. You can raise the issue when the town council meets again. In 5 weeks.
I want to speak to the mayor myself!
I'm terribly sorry, miss. The mayor is attending the Equestrian Society of Mayors and Town Managers annual meeting in Winnipeg, and she won't be back for 10 days. In the meantime, according to the permit, your bar is scheduled to be open in, 3 days.
There ain't gonna be a bar, partner!
Applejack replied angrily.
I'm afraid there will be substantial penalties for failing to meet the requirements of your permit, Miss Applejack. And need I remind you, the Apple family commercial license is up for renewal soon? Ponyville is generally not interested in doing business with lawbreakers.
Applejack glared at the stallion, but he watched her calmly, moving some papers around his desk. She wasn't going to be able to fix this alone.
Would you be interested in acquiring a copy of the regulations surrounding the operations of bars and restaurants?
Red Tape offered.
There will be a nominal fee of 10 bits. Of course.
Applejack paced angrily around the Ponyville library as Twilight Sparkle paged through a thick legal tome.
I'm sorry, Applejack.
She finally said.
As far as I can tell, everything Red Tape told you is in accordance with the law.
I can't stand being held over a barrel by that varmint! That no good, lousy, stinking varmint!
Whoa there, Applejack. Is there something between you two that I don't know about?
About 2 years ago, he asked me on a date. I turned him down. Ever since, our official interactions have been a mite cold. I'm sure he'd be helpful to any pony else.
My only consolation to you is that the town charter grants the mayor the authority to approve changes to official documents of a corrective and non-significant nature, subject to approval by the town council at their next meeting. So we just need to speak to the mayor.
Who won't be back in town for more than a week. What do I do?
Twilight Sparkle levitated several books off the library shelves.
You operate a bar. You do it in accordance with all regulations and with the same hard work you put into everything you do. And your friends will support you.
Applejack broke the bad news to her family. No pony was happy, but the apples accepted it stoically, like any problem that befell the farm family. Big Macintosh disassembled part of the new barn's interior, freeing up the minimum required space for the tavern. Apple Bloom assembled the stall doors into a makeshift bar, and Granny Smith brought out the Apple family's special reserves to sell. They all acknowledged that it wasn't as bad as it could have been. For example, the family already had taps for cider season and a soda dispenser, normally only brought out for the family reunion. Similarly, the family's picnic tables and old chairs were repurposed. But there were so many little things Applejack needed to buy. Toothpicks, olives, mixers, those horrible little cherries with all the flavor sucked out of them. All of that was bits out of their rainy day fund, a fund already drawn down to pay for the new barn. And then, of course, there was the alcohol. So many varieties of alcohol. They'd never drink it themselves, and they sure weren't going to serve their friends and family any alcohol not made from Apple family apples. So much waste. Applejack stood behind the bar but looked outside. It was still light outside. She should be spending these hours bucking apples and then enjoying a hearty meal with her family after sundown. But because old bars had to be open between the hours of 6 and 11 in the evening, the orange mare found herself inside the barn-turned-bar. The earth pony turned and stared at the dozens of bottles behind her. They rested there, mocking her. They would never be opened because no pony would walk all the way to Sweet Apple Acres to... The interior of the barn grew lighter as the barn door opened. A plumb earth pony mare trotted in.
Well, howdy, Berry Punch. Didn't expect any pony to come here.
My berry sense told me to come here.
What's berry sense?
You know, Pinkie sense? It's like that. Except for booze.
Berry Punch replied matter-of-factly. She sidled up to the bar.
So, what do you have?
Well, as you can see, we have a full bar. But I hope you'll try some of the Apple family's hard cider.
What's in that unmarked bottle?
Berry Punch interrupted.
That's some of our special Apple family brandy blended
You
with...
had me at brandy.
Berry Punch again interrupted.
Brandy? Neat.
Applejack poured Berry Punch a drink. The plum mare pounded back the drink.
Now I'll have another.
The reluctant bartender looked at her customer crossly, but poured her a second drink. She consumed half of the second drink before setting down the glass.
So, why'd you come all the way here?
Applejack asked Berry Punch.
The bars in town don't want my business.
Applejack looked at the mare curiously. As the evening progressed, she began to understand why. The more she drank, the louder Berry Punch became. She lost any concept of personal space and switched rapidly between exuberance and depression.
Oh, this is good stuff.
Berry Punch slurred as she picked up her 5th glass.
What am I drinking again?
Applejack sighed.
As I tried to explain before, it's Apple Family apple brandy blended with whiskey.
Berry Punch hugged Applejack.
That's brilliant! You should totally show that. You should make it name after yourself.
Applejack pushed the plum mare away.
Yeah, maybe.
She said, non-committally, at least she was earning some bits for her family this evening.
Oh, and I forgot my purse. Put this on my tab?
Applejack stared at Berry Punch.
Get out!
She hissed. Aboard Applejack was reading the bartender's guide for the 8th time when the barn door opened. A cyan Pegasus with a rainbow-colored mane flew in, executing a quick tour of the makeshift bar.
So this is what you're stuck doing?
Rainbow Dash asked, taking a seat at the bar.
Yeah,
Never thought I'd see the day.
that makes 2 of us.
So, what did the termite say when he walked into the bar?
Rainbow Dash joked. Without allowing Applejack to answer, she continued.
Is the bar tender?
Dash, the regulations surrounding running a bar in Ponyville give me the right to refuse service to any pony.
Okay. Chill. I just thought you'd appreciate a joke.
This is more like a nightmare.
Let me brighten your mood by buying something. So, what do you sell here?
Well, our specialty is Apple Family hard cider, but we also have...
Whoa, you have cider? That's not hard. That's an easy choice.
Dash, this ain't the cider we sell each fall.
The Pegasus slammed 2 bits on the counter.
Cider me!
Applejack cautiously uncorked a chilled bottle and passed it to her friend. Rainbow Dash took the bottle and hoof and drank a mouthful of the hard cider.
You're right. This isn't like your normal cider. This is better. It even beats fresh squeezed rain cloud after a busy day on weather patrol.
The Earth Pony regarded the Pegasus suspiciously.
What do you know about a busy day?
It took a long time to clear the clouds that drifted over the town from the air-free forest today. I barely had time for all my other work.
Applejack said, unconvinced. Rainbow Dash drained the bottle and set it on the table.
That hit the spot. I'll have another.
Dash, this stuff is brewed for the Apple Family. You know, hardy earth ponies, not lightweight Pegasi. I don't think you should drink this like regular cider.
Applejack cautioned. Rainbow Dash glared at Applejack.
You saying I'm a lightweight? That I'm not tough?
She dropped 10 more bits on the bar.
I accept the challenge.
The farmer-turned-bartender had some understanding that biological differences made it easier for Pegasi to get drunk.
She'll be asleep before finishing the 3rd bottle.
Applejack thought. Rainbow Dash grew louder as she drank the 2nd bottle of cider. The Pegasus never really stood still, as if her body were telling her to move even when she was consciously trying to remain still. But the swaying she displayed while sitting on the bar stool wasn't this familiar movement.
That was awesome! More!
Rainbow Dash shouted.
Dash, you're gonna regret it tomorrow if y'all don't stop drinking.
I never regret awesome.
She replied as she held out her hoof. Applejack was surprised at how coherent her friend's speech remained, even as her body betrayed the cider's influence. She sighed. If there's one way Rainbow Dash was most like her, it was her stubbornness. Applejack passed over a third bottle.
You're going to keep selling this, right?
I'm not planning on it.
Applejack replied honestly.
'Cause I'm going to keep buying every day.
The Pegasus continued. Her swaying grew more pronounced. Instinctual commands caused the Pegasus' wings to flare out, slight movements helping her maintain her balance. Rainbow Dash finished her third bottle of cider faster than her second. Applejack was impressed at her friend's toughness, but was afraid of continuing to serve her.
I don't think you can handle another.
I so am.
Rainbow Dash announced loudly.
You don't even look in any condition to sit, let alone walk.
I'll show you.
Rainbow Dash said. Her wings opened.
I don't plan on walking.
Uh-oh.
The speedy Pegasus may have been inebriated, but the muscles behind her wings remained powerful. She took off, gaining elevation almost effortlessly. Applejack dashed out from behind the bar, taking some solace in the fact that her friend wouldn't be able to fly too high. Rainbow Dash flew with instinct honed by years of practice. But knowing what to do didn't help, as the alcohol in her bloodstream slowed down everything.
Time for a nap.
She muttered and closed her eyes. Unfortunately, she was still in the air. The Cyan Pegasus' wings locked and she spiraled downward. Applejack watched her descent, worried. The Earth Pony ran around, trying to stay under her friend.
Not the bottles!
She shouted as Rainbow Dash neared the ground. Applejack reared and caught the Pegasus in her forelegs. The two tumbled to the ground, almost smashing into the bar.
Captain of the Wonderbolts? Of course.
Applejack got to her hooves and picked up Rainbow Dash. Nothing left to do but let her sleep, make sure she was okay, and say, "I told you so," in the morning.
I never thought I'd see this on a farm.
Applejack leveled her eyes at the new arrival. Purveyor of carrots, bane of the marketplace, eternal rival, Carrot Top. She was always trying to convince ponies that vegetables were better than fruits. And now she was here.
This could happen if you're not careful.
Applejack warned.
Oh, I doubt that. So, what are you serving?
The house specialty is Apple Family Hard Cider and some Apple Family Apple Brandy Blend.
So what do you have that isn't hoof made by the apples?
Pretty much everything else.
Applejack admitted.
A beer then.
Carrot Top requested. Applejack picked out a cold beer from the untouched selection of purchased alcohol and slid the bottle to Carrot Top. Carrot Top nursed the beer. Bothered by the quiet, Applejack finally asked,
So what brings you here?
Market just isn't the same without you. All your brother does is sell apples. There's no laughable attempts to tell parents that apples are good for their foals, when every pony knows it's vegetables that make foals grow big and strong.
You know, Carrot Top, I think you're old enough to know the truth. Carrots ain't good for the eyes. That's just an old mare's tale.
An apple a day does not keep the doctor away. It's about time you admitted that to yourself.
And I think you should be worried that all the rabbits steal from my farm.
I heard Cheerily hates it when her students bring her apples. Hates it!
The two mares stared at each other, serious expressions on their faces. Applejack's was the first to shift, the corners of her mouth lifting slightly. Carrot Top started to smile as well. Soon the farmers were sharing an exuberant laugh.
I can't wait until this stupid situation gets resolved. I'm so gonna go to the market and I'm gonna sell like I've never sold before.
Oh, so you're going to try selling well?
Carrot Top teased. Applejack stared into her rival's green eyes.
I'll outsell you for sure. It ain't much of a challenge, you know.
That sounds like a bet. My bottle of carrot vodka against your bottle of apple brandy.
Applejack spit into her hoof and extended her foreleg towards her rival. Carrot Top met Applejack's hoof with her own.
You're on.
Both mares said simultaneously. Two hours had passed on the fourth night of operations. The only visitor so far was Applebloom, bringing her older sister dinner. Applejack still didn't want to be here, but she missed being able to talk to some pony. Any pony. The barn door creaked. Applejack smiled and raised her head as she said,
Welcome.
She then regretted that word when she saw the pony who walked in. The silver-coated earth pony Stallion smiled as he surveyed the establishment.
Quaint.
Well, how do you do, Red Tape?
Applejack said coldly.
I hope you're here for a drink.
Indeed I am, Miss Applejack. I do enjoy going out for the drink on the occasional evening.
Red Tape took a seat at the bar and placed 3 bits on it.
A Manhattan cocktail, please.
Applejack poured whiskey and vermouth into a glass and added a dash of bitters. She added a maraschino cherry and hoofed over the glass.
That's not a Manhattan.
Red Tape said.
What do you mean?
Applejack said. She turned and paged through the borrowed book of drink recipes.
Huh? You're right.
Applejack remade the cocktail.
You know, if you want things like correctly made drinks, then why aren't you drinking at a place run by some pony with that talent?
I'm a citizen of Ponyville, interested in trying all the town's businesses.
Red Tape consumed his cocktail in silence. When he finished, he stood up, left a 1-bit tip, and said,
Thanks for the, drink.
The least eventful customer for Applejack's bar turned out to be the least satisfying one. Early in the 5th evening, the barn door opened to admit the makeshift bar's 5th customer. Unlike every pony else, the lavender unicorn chose to sit at one of the tables, claiming a seat in the corner.
Howdy, Twilight! Y'all want something to drink?
Applejack called. Twilight Sparkle kept her eyes on a trio of books, paper, ink, and quills as they levitated out of her saddlebags.
Nothing hard for me tonight. I'll just have a tonic water with lime.
Coming right up.
Applejack poured the drink and carried it over to her friend.
What do you got there?
One of the 3 books was open, and Twilight Sparkle was already taking notes with her magically animated quill.
Just a little studying.
The unicorn didn't lift her eye from the text as she spoke.
Sugarcube, don't you live in a library?
Of course. It's just that, see, Spike is shedding scales right now. It's a bit distracting.
Applejack collected the 2 bits Twilight Sparkle had placed on the table and headed back to the bar.
Is Spike okay being alone?
He's fine, Applejack. It's just a lot of itching, nothing dangerous. I have left him with a bottle of medicated lotion and 3 tubs of chocolate ice cream, both of which make him feel better.
Yeah, I guess that means he'll be okay.
Applejack commented as she wiped dry some glasses.
Plus, if I'm there, he'll actively complain. When he's shedding, he likes soliciting sympathy from any pony in earshot. I needed to study someplace I knew would be quiet.
Twilight Sparkle glanced up when she heard Applejack set a glass down on the bar, with a resounding thud. The Earth Pony was staring off into space, looking perturbed.
What's wrong, Applejack?
Nothing.
You can tell me.
Twilight Sparkle urged. Applejack shook her head.
It's nothing.
The Earth Pony looked back. Twilight Sparkle had pushed away her study materials. She actually closed her book and moved it to the far corner of the table.
Just sit. I said something wrong, and I'm sorry. But you should talk about what's bothering you.
Applejack dropped the towel on the bar and took a seat opposite Twilight Sparkle.
You know I don't want to do this, right?
I read you loud and clear when you were talking to me about this originally.
Yeah, but since I'm doing this, I want to be the best I can. And this is not my best. This is a failure.
I wouldn't say that, Applejack. You're doing a good job in a role you've never filled before. You will do anything to help your farm, and this experience just proves it.
The way things are going, it's going to hurt my farm in the end, even if we get the mayor to put an end to this.
Look, Applejack, I have an appointment with the mayor the day she gets back. Come with me. I'll make sure she corrects that permit. As for...
Twilight Sparkle trailed off.
You know, I shouldn't have left Spike alone. That wasn't a good thing to do. As a parental figure, or as a friend.
Twilight Sparkle's horn glowed, and her books and paper returned to her saddlebags.
I'll see you later, Applejack.
And with Twilight Sparkle's rapid departure, Applejack found herself alone again. Applejack turned the crank of the well, drawing up a bucket of cool, fresh water. Following a day of hard work, she always headed to the well. The Earth Pony drank deeply, and then splashed her face with the refreshing liquid. Her mood soured as she considered the evening of non-work facing her.
Gotta get to it anyway.
She mused as she walked to the new barn. What Applejack saw as she opened the door stopped her in her tracks. The entire barn had been transformed. Strips of cloth hung from the wooden walls, softening the interior and making it feel more intimate. Cloth tablecloths covered the tables, and candle-sized magic lights illuminated the interior warmly. Additional tables had been brought in and were covered in cupcakes. Finally, the Apple family piano was moved into the barn. Pinkie Pie suddenly appeared behind Applejack.
Do you like it? Huh?
She asked excitedly.
How did you...
She started before seeing the rest of her friends step out from behind the barn where they had been hiding.
Applejack, we're here to make sure you have at least one successful night as a bar owner.
Twilight Sparkle explained.
I simply adore the chance to refine the decor here.
Rarity said. Pinkie Pie popped out from under the table of cupcakes.
And I made cupcakes for every pony!
She waved a hoof over her creations.
We have extra salty salted caramel cupcakes, and extra spicy chocolate hot sauce cupcakes, and extra sour lime margarita cupcakes. Every pony will love them! And then every pony will be super thirsty.
We all spread the word throughout Ponyville that Applejack's bar was the happening place to be tonight.
Rainbow Dash said.
This is wonderful and all, but this is a mite too much.
Nonsense! We're all here to help you. Even your family is in on this.
Rarity leaned out the door.
That's your cue.
She called. After a moment, she continued.
Oh, and don't be like that. You look fabulous.
A slightly embarrassed Big Macintosh walked into the barn wearing a fine tuxedo.
You're a server today.
Rarity told Applejack.
You should have seen how many mares wanted to come when I mentioned I was planning on putting your brother in a tuxedo.
Applejack was positive there was a blush hidden under her brother's red coat. Granny Smith walked into the barn.
And I'll be playing some lovely tunes on the dear piano.
Pinkie Pie entered the barn despite no pony seeing her leave.
Applebloom is arriving with the first group of guests! Every pony, it's time to party!
This is what I was missing,
Thought Applejack. It seemed like all of Ponyville was here, and she was busy. Gloriously busy. She was joined by Fluttershy and Twilight Sparkle in making drinks. Rainbow Dash delivered the drinks to the ponies who wanted their drinks as fast as possible, while Big Macintosh balanced trays of drinks for the guests who more wanted to see Big Macintosh carry a tray of drinks. Rarity and Pinkie Pie served as impromptu hostesses. Granny Smith's collection of raucous and surprisingly bawdy piano tunes kept up the crowd's energies. Little Applebloom kept herself busy, bussing the dirty glasses back to the farmhouse, where Sweetie Belle and Scootaloo helped her clean them. While the other two crusaders weren't interested in a dishwashing cutie mark, they were interested in helping Applejack, no matter whether or not that endeavor would grant a cutie mark. As the night progressed, the feeling of accomplishment was magnified by seeing bits accumulate in the old box being used as a till. Even Berry Punch had come back to pay her tab and get another drink. It turns out the mayor couldn't resist the promise of Pinkie Pie's margarita cupcakes. At the same time, the levels of the bottles of alcohol fell. Dozens of bottles were emptied that night. As the crowds finally dwindled, Applejack noticed it was 2 hours past her normal close. The clock that she had installed to count down the minutes of her imprisonment had been forgotten during this busy evening. Her brother trotted up to her, his bow tie finally loosened.
Sis, you're going to town hall with Twilight tomorrow, and then you're taking the rest of the day off,
he ordered.
Sure thing.
She agreed.
Of course that should say barn. Even without confirming it by looking at the minutes of the past town council meetings, it should have been obvious to any pony with a brain,
Mayor Mare said. She corrected the permit and initialed the correction.
I'll add this to the agenda for the next meeting, and let Keen-Eye know he can finish his inspection.
Thank you kindly, Mayor.
I'm just glad I was able to find you had this authority by reading the town charter.
Why didn't Red Tape fix this? He was in charge when I was gone.
He said there was nothing he could do.
He could have done exactly what I did.
Twilight Sparkle pondered the town charter for a moment.
Does the provision of this charter that grants you this authority allow it to be used by the mayor's designated representative?
I'm not sure, but I certainly wouldn't have criticized him for making the right decision. I guess the mayor just has a different skill set than the bureaucrat.
Applejack looked as if she wanted to say something. Words were almost visibly caught in her throat. Twilight Sparkle looked at her encouragingly. Finally, the orange mare spoke.
I suspect Red Tape acted the way he did for personal, not professional reasons.
The mayor nodded. It seemed she knew what Applejack meant.
Oh dear. That's disappointing to hear, given it's not the first time. I've had suspicions before, but... Look, I promise you I'll talk to him, but I doubt he'll admit to anything. Really, I don't have any grounds to criticize him, if he did everything by the book.
Twilight Sparkle suddenly smiled.
Mayor, would you mind if Applejack and I spent some time looking through the town records?
Of course. Good luck finding whatever it is you're looking for.
Red Tape relaxed at the kitchen table. Sunday was his favorite day of the week, and he always started it out with a cup of tea and the Sunday Manhattan Times. A relaxing morning, uninterrupted by... He heard a knock at the door.
Huh?
The knocking was insistent. Sighing, the Silver Stallion stood up and walked to the door.
Good morning, Red Tape.
Said Keen Eye as Red Tape opened the door.
I have your inspection scheduled for today.
On a Sunday?
The mayor asked me to schedule this inspection as soon as possible.
Red Tape shrugged and admitted the brown earth pony. Keen Eye inspected the doors, windows, and ceiling of the ground floor.
I see a few superficial cracks in the plaster, but it's nothing you need to repair. Shall we head upstairs?
Red Tape nodded. The two stallions headed upstairs, Keen Eye checking the stairwell carefully. He peered down the hallway and then referred to his notes.
It says here you've built an expansion to the second floor since your last inspection. Extended hallway, and added a bedroom and a bathroom.
Yeah.
Red Tape agreed before correcting himself.
Wait, you mean bathroom, right?
Keen Eye checked his paperwork a second time. Red Tape checked the document himself.
You can take that up at the town council's next meeting in 3 weeks.
A chill passed down Red Tape's spine as he followed the inspector.
For now, I'm going to help you pass your inspection.
What do you mean by that?
He asked hesitantly. Keen Eye leaned out the front door.
Are you ready, Fluttershy?
The butter-yellow Pegasus stepped to the door, a covered cage in her mouth. She set it down just inside the doorway.
Thank you for building a bathroom, Mr. Red Tape. These 6 adorable critters have been waiting so long to get adopted.
Red Tape's jaw hung open. He tried to move, tried to say something, but the shock of the situation prevented him from acting before Fluttershy pulled the blanket off the cage. Hideous winged rats, beady eyes, squished faces. Red Tape started to sweat. The whole scene moved in slow motion as the Pegasus lifted the latch and opened the cages. Excited squeaking filled the air as the monstrosities flew from the cage. One landed on Red Tape's mane. Ah! The stallion passed out, most ingloriously.
Oh my! I've never seen any pony so excited to adopt a pet!